Yo, what's up? Aaron Darko here, founder of Alpha Trading, coming to you from Chiang Mai in Thailand. Look how beautiful this place is. Mountains in the background, rice fields. Anyway, I want to talk to you about habits today because habits create us, okay? What you do daily is what you become, okay? So the way you change your life, the way we change our life is by changing what we do daily. Okay, there's no way we can become the person we want to become without changing something we do every day. Now, I read a book, a powerful book to illustrate what I'm talking about, and I'm going to share with you the lessons in this video. And that book is The Power of Habit. Okay, now in that book, it talks about three very simple concepts, three things you need to do that we all need to do in order to form a habit. And I'm going to share it with you right now. It's trigger, action, reward. Okay, those three things: trigger, action, reward. So what the hell does that mean, right? Let me explain it. So a trigger, okay, so for example, waking up in the morning, that's a trigger, okay? Or sunset, for example. I'll give you an example of what I do for my habits in a minute, but let me just explain the concepts, okay? So a trigger is something that happens where it makes you think of that thing. Okay, so let's say, for example, your alarm goes off in the morning. That's a trigger, okay? Now, you have to do something. You have to perform some sort of action. So, for example, what I do, my alarm goes off. I don't actually have an alarm, but when I wake up in the morning, that's my trigger, okay? And the first thing I do upon waking is meditate, okay? So that's the action, okay? So trigger is waking up in the morning. The action is meditation, okay? Now, the third thing is reward. And this is how a habit is formed, okay? Because we have to trick our brain into receiving some sort of reward for doing the hard thing, all right? So if we do the hard thing and we don't reward ourselves, we're not going to have any positive associations with that thing because we didn't reward ourselves, all right? So therefore, our brain is not going to think it's important, and therefore our brain's not going to, have it as a habit going forward. So what we need to do is we need to create this habit by rewarding ourselves for doing the hard thing. So for example, I wake up in the morning, that's the trigger. The action is meditating, and the reward is maybe drinking a sip of my water or drinking some coffee, okay? So I've rewarded myself for doing the hard thing. If I do that every single morning, which I have been, it's now a habit. That's just what I do. It's just unconscious, right? That's what you want to get to. You want to get to the point where it's just unconscious. You don't even think about it and you do it, okay? So let's go for another example. Another example is the hanging. So every day I do hanging for at least 4 minutes cumulative throughout the entire day, okay? So I like to do my hanging all at once in the sunset, right? So during sunset, that's a trigger. Every sunset is a trigger. And the action is I have to go to the beach. Whoops. The action is I have to go to the beach and I have to go and do the hanging, okay? So going to the beach and hanging, that's one action, right? And the reward is I get to drink a coconut afterwards, okay? So that's just my little ritual that I do to instill the habit of hanging every day, all right? So I go to the beach, sunset is a trigger. I go to the beach, go to hang, and then reward is coconuts. That's it. Very, very simple. So that's what you guys need to do also, because that's what happens when you instill a habit, is you start doing the things that you need to do to get the results you need to get in order to get what you want out of life, right? If your habit is to do a little bit of work every single day when you wake up to work on your business, right? You wake up, you work on your business, that's the action. The reward is, I don't know, maybe you go for a walk or maybe you drink some coffee. But the cumulative effect of that habit is going to let you make enough money eventually so you can come out to places like this, right? So that is what we're talking about here. Similarly for food, right? Because obviously we're talking about fitness. The lighting's not that good on this camera. It's my iPhone right now. If you're talking about food, you want to have positive associations with the food, all right? So for example, the trigger is going to a healthy restaurant. Okay, actually no, sorry. The trigger is dinner time, okay? And the action is eating clean whole foods, okay? So for example, I don't know, chicken, vegetables and rice, okay, for example, okay? And the reward is you get to drink your favorite smoothie or the reward is you get to eat your favorite cake or your favorite chocolate bar. You know, something like that, that's going to instill this healthy habit in you to eat whole foods, because that is what's going to make sure that you hit your physique goals. Is you eating whole foods 80 to 90% of the time, preferably 90% of the time. Okay, and 10% you can eat the processed nonsense if you want, but 90% of the time you need to be eating whole foods like rice, vegetables, proteins, okay? No processed stuff. The processed stuff has a place, but most of the time you want to be eating healthy whole foods, all right? So that's a way to instill the habit in you, okay? Trigger, action, reward, okay? Reward the behavior that you don't want to do the most, and then it will create positive associations in your brain to where you're going to go ahead and crave that association more and more, okay? Because you've created a positive association, your brain's going to crave that reward, but you've conditioned your brain to do the hard thing before you get the reward. Does that make sense? So go ahead and do that, and you're going to be a champion, and it's going to work, and you're going to have such amazing habits. And the good thing about this is you can apply it to anything you want to accomplish, okay? So for example, if you want to get better at BJJ, for example, the trigger is the evening, okay? The action is you got to go to BJJ class, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then the reward is maybe you get to have, I don't know, a kebab afterwards, or maybe you get to have one glass of beer, or I don't know, your favorite smoothie or whatever. Reward yourself. It doesn't have to be an unhealthy reward, but it has to be something that you actually like, and reward yourself. And that's going to go ahead and instill that habit in you. And that's how you do it. Because life's all about habits. We are a result of all of our habits, okay? If your habit is to eat a cup of ice cream every day, what is the cumulative result of that habit over a lifetime? You're gonna put on weight, right? Because you're eating extra 500 calories a day, which you don't need to be eating. And furthermore, you're adding lots of sugars as well. So change your habits to change your life, okay? And that's how you do it. What's it? Let's go through it again. What is it again? What is it again? Do you know it? Do you remember it? Trigger, action, reward. 3 things. Trigger, action, reward. Okay? Remember those 3 things, and you'll be amazing at creating the habits that actually lift you up and create a better life for yourself. My name is Darko from Alpha Trading. I'll talk to you guys soon.